Thank you for joining our presentation today. We're here to talk about the value of experiential learning in long-term care and how to grow your own personal support workers in a living classroom. My name is Scott Mitchell, and I work as a knowledge broker for the Ontario Centre for Learning, Research and Innovation in Long-Term Care, hosted at the Schlegel UW Research Institute for Aging. I'm delighted to be co-presenting today with Lisa Spencer.
Hi and welcome. Thank you. My name is Lisa Spencer. I'm a secondary program coordinator for Near North District School Board located in North Bay, Ontario. And my portfolio encompasses specialist high skills major and experiential learning programs like this PSW program.
The Ontario CLRI provides support across the province to enhance quality of life and care for the people who work and live in long-term care. We are funded by the Government of Ontario and hosted at 3 different sites: Baycrest Health Sciences, Gruyere, and the Research Institute for Aging. We act as a resource for the long-term care sector by providing education and training, sharing research and innovations, such as the living classroom, and identifying and developing resources for homes. The Living Classroom Partnership Model was created in collaboration with Conestoga College, the Research Institute for Aging, and Schlegel Village's development of the Living Classroom Implementation Guide and other resources that I will share with you today were supported in part with funding from the Government of Ontario through the Ontario CLRI program. So we believe that collaboration is the key to solving workforce challenges in long-term care. Our first objective today is to explain the benefits of the Living Classroom Partnership Model, including the impact on PSW recruitment and retention. We hope to offer you some practical collaboration strategies to help you plan and implement the living classroom in your own community. To that end, Lisa will be sharing the Near North District School Board's recent experience of collaborating with multiple long-term care homes and other community partners to launch new PSW training programs in 3 communities in the Near North. And finally, we want to let you know how to access resources and support from the Ontario CLRI. As everyone is well aware, the long-term care sector is facing a number of extraordinary challenges. The population in long-term care homes has undergone significant change in recent years. Residents are more frail and in need of more medical and personal care than ever before. Naturally, as care needs increase, so do the workloads of long-term care teams, especially personal support workers. Many long-term care homes are struggling to recruit and retain PSWs. A number of factors contribute to this workforce challenge. Long-term care homes are not the only place that PSWs can work. This competition for PSWs means that homes often struggle to be recognized as an employer of choice. We know that long-term care is not always perceived as an attractive place to work, nor as a preferred career path for graduates in healthcare. Reasons for this negative perception may include ageism, low compensation as compared to other care settings, and limited understanding and exposure to long-term care. If we can help PSW students understand the long-term care environment, they will be more likely to choose long-term care as a place to work. And they will stay longer if they feel supported and valued in their role as a PSW. Workplace culture has an impact on both recruitment and retention. There are also challenges in how we educate healthcare workers. The post-secondary curriculum for PSWs does not always prepare students to care for seniors and the many complex needs we're seeing in the long-term care population. Health education tends to be medically focused, while the social aspects of care are often ignored. At the same time, working in long-term care is mistakenly perceived as non-complex. And lastly, many long-term care homes are not well prepared to serve as learning environments for students. For example, few LTC staff have experience in precepting or mentoring of students. We define the living classroom as a partnership model that integrates education into a long-term care or retirement home to support workforce development. Students, faculty, and those living, visiting, and working in the home engage in a culture of shared learning. The living classroom has many benefits for everyone involved, benefits that set the model apart from a traditional education. Students who choose to study in a living classroom gain more awareness of long-term care as a career pathway. Because students are embedded within the home for the full duration of their PSW program, their education is enriched by more experiential learning opportunities with residents, families, and team members. So that engagement might start with residents being in the home to observe and to visit with residents, getting to know them, and developing essential communication skills. In a traditional education model, students learn theory in the classroom, and they may wait months before they can put that theory into practice during their placement. In the living classroom, when students learn something new from their instructors, they can immediately apply that knowledge in a real-world environment, which means it's more likely to stick. It's a better way to learn. Students also get to spend more time learning as part of an interprofessional care team. So for many students, a living classroom in their local community enables them to live, study, and work close to home, rather than traveling to a college campus further away. And finally, our experience shows us that students graduate from the living classroom with enhanced skills, greater confidence, and practical experience caring for older adults. And as a result, those students are more likely to choose work in long-term care after graduation. The living classroom has benefits for long-term care team members as well, who can experience personal growth by mentoring the next generation of healthcare professionals. With on-site faculty and a continuing focus on education, team members have an opportunity to learn new clinical practices and update their own caregiving skills. And team members benefit from student assistance with care. Having students in your long-term care home means more helping hands. By engaging everyone in the education process, the living classroom enables residents and families to share their knowledge and wisdom with students and with educators. Starting a new living classroom means that education providers can offer programs in locations where there's high demand. Finally, long-term care homes that host the living classroom can immediately hire new employees from a pool of work-ready graduates. Students that we've interviewed have spoken about the living classroom as being like a 6-month interview process, and many have been offered full-time position before they've graduated. The Ontario CLRI has produced a number of resources to help long-term care homes and education providers work together to build new living classrooms. You can find all our resources on the Living Classroom website at livingclassroom.ca. Most of our resources are available in both English and French. Of course, not every long-term care home is ready or willing to adopt the living classroom model for a variety of reasons. To help you start the discussion and explore the possibility, we've developed a brief readiness checklist. I'm told that our colleagues at the Near North District School Board found this resource to be particularly helpful. The checklist is designed to prompt discussion and reflection and to help you identify areas where more preparation may be needed. This is where the implementation guide can help. The implementation guide is a step-by-step manual that describes the key building blocks for a successful living classroom. The guide is available to download free of charge from the Living Classroom website. Now, I want to invite Lisa to share a real-world example of how the Near North District School Board successfully implemented their living classrooms.
Thank you, Scott. When initiating our program, it was important for us to have a shared vision and discover our why for undergoing this process. We know that public school boards are a service to communities, and our education and programming reflects the needs of the community. We were able to identify that there was a huge need in our community for PSWs, for employment opportunities, for adult education engagement, and a rich opportunity for training and skills development. There was available funding awarded to us through the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education, which helped to cover tuition costs and some program costs to help offset this. In collaboration with our partners in long-term care through Ontario Works, Ontario Disability Pension, and community members as well as educators, we were able to gain a fulsome perspective of what the need looked like in each place. When getting involved right off the hop, our start was to identify the viability of our regions to initiate programs. And those regions encompass North Bay, Mattawa, West Nipissing, Parry Sound, Almaguin, and making sure that we knew a bit about each region and what that looked like. Knowing how to implement this program was through our continuing education model, as we had staff and procedures already in place to help undertake this work. This helped us to select a very small team to streamline the work, which consisted of an administrator, 2 coordinators, our officer of corporate affairs through the director's office, as well as an administrative assistant. We then were able to identify potential partnerships and reach out with the details of the program that we undertook in learning. Then we undertook some advertising and recruitment using things like print and radio, but our social media networks proved to be the most successful. When hiring staff, we took internal suggestions from our long-term care partners, and nurses who were working within the homes were hired as instructors, and that was a very successful process. On screen now, you can see the Near North District School Board regional map, and you can see that Highway 11 runs along the right-hand side. In February of 2022, we initiated programs in Parry Sound and North Bay, indicated by red hearts on your screen here. And then in September of 2022, we've initiated our second round of programming, again in Parry Sound at Belvedere Heights, in North Bay at Castleholm, and adding a third program in Mattawa, all at long-term care partnered homes. When developing relationships and partnerships in rural Ontario, collaboration is the key to this process. Having connections in long-term care was a huge advantage to us. Being in several rural locations, this allows for tight network connections. Some examples of that would be the CEO at our North Bay Castleholm location and our Director of Care at Mattawa, who both have personal connections to employees at the Near North District School Board. We also have rich co-op programs throughout the Near North District School Board and developed relationships with those places. So we already had some established networks available to us. On-site meetings discuss the role of each organization and contributions. We were able to flesh out and develop an MOU to outline the roles of each. And then learning about long-term care, and then for them to learn a little bit about education was a beneficial process to both organizations in order to help us move forward with success. Responsive phone calls and emails were our most effective tool for quick turnaround times and being able to solve problems on the fly. And that process was then formalized in weekly meetings where we could check in, answer questions, and again, provide those responsive needs and to be met by both parties. When recruiting, we were definitely looking to find students who would help us with an initial startup. In phase 1, we are working through that continuing education model by re-engaging adults from the community through a literacy assessment, documentation collection and review, interviews, and the development of learning profiles. And our candidates were either unemployed or underemployed persons, young parents, candidates looking to re-engage in employment through Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Referrals. And some of our high school graduates followed a pathway directly into our program, and our guidance departments in our high schools help with that process. In phase 2, we're looking to develop a high school pathway right into our PSW programming by implementing a pathway through our specialist high skills major program in health and wellness, which is in 2 sites, North Bay and Parry Sound. And the specialist high skills major programming encourages a streamlined approach to education by providing opportunities for certification, course experiences, and of course, co-ops. And it covers all education pathways, college, apprenticeship, and workplace right into recruitment, as well as our university pathway to nursing is encouraged to integrate PSW as a stepping stone. And we know that 25% of PSW graduates work as a PSW while entertaining nursing. Education challenges for a continuing education model does touch on recruitment here. And this does differ from a college program. In a college program, it is offered and students sign up, whereas in a Con Ed model, we went looking for our students. And so we offered information sessions and things like that. We also have the opportunity for students who did not graduate with their Ontario Secondary School diploma to participate in the PLAR process or prior learning assessment and earn 6 credits towards their Ontario Secondary School diploma. We did do a full candidate review to develop a learning profile profile and inform of supports, and that will help us with informing the supports that we need for each cohort, which again differs by region, and provide those wraparound supports for adult learning. When building a living classroom model, our partnered facilities were able to donate some of the resources in kind, things like classroom and lunching spaces, lab learning and collaboration spaces, as well as material items like a smart TV, internet, equipment, and some of those consumables were offset by us, and that was just negotiated on a need-to basis with each partner. And much of the learning happens on the floor, as Scott described, after practicing in the lab and class. Materials that Near North District School Board supplied were things like training and manuals for certification opportunities, personal protective equipment, laptops to support our e-learning platform, as well as textbook and workbook for study. And this year we are purchasing mannequins to help develop confidence with vulnerable peoples. And we did offset some student support fund costs for things like the vulnerable sector check and documentation collection. Because we have so many sites, if we needed furniture, which we did, we were able to reach out and acquire things like tables, chairs, lockers, and fridges from our closed sites and relocate them to long-term care homes to support student facilitation. This is a great shot of our Mattawa crew of our September 22 startup. And this is right in the lobby of Algonquin Nursing Home. And here's what their lab learning space looks like. And here, this is the bed making lab. This is our second crew at Perry Sound at Belvedere Heights, September 22 startup. And this is the Classroom Learning Center. And here's our students in the same space, but preparing to go out on the floor, and you can see them donning their PPE. And lastly, if you are interested in looking at the Near North District School Board PSW site to see what our resources and around the living classroom look like, as well as our media releases and any of our official forms or processes, I please encourage you to go and check it out.
Well, thank you everyone for listening, and please feel free to get in touch with either of us. Our living classroom session is one of 6 Ontario CLRI presentations at this year's conference. Be sure to check out our other presentations and follow us on Twitter at CLRI_LTC. If you have questions about anything you've seen from the Ontario CLRI, email us at info@clri-ltc.ca.